Hello and namaste to everyone. This is JVN Shallow Singh from FPD department in Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. For today's lecture, I'll be talking about phosphate buffer system. Phosphate buffer system. Before talking about buffer system, I will give you a brief introduction of what we were talking about in last lectures. In last lectures, we talked about buffers of body fluids. So, in buffers of body fluids, we talked about mechanism of regulation of pH. Here, in mechanism of regulation of pH, our body undergoes three lines of defense. Like first line of defense is your blood buffer, second line of defense is your through your respiratory regulation, and your third line of defense is through your renal regulation. So, in a blood buffer system, the most important buffer which we come across is your bicarbonate buffer system. For bicarbonate buffer system, we talked about the we talked that bicarbonate buffer system in plasma. They act as bicarbonate carbonic acid system, and they account for 65% to of buffering capacity in plasma and 40% of buffering action in a whole body. Since we talked about the buffering capacity, we also got to know that the ratio of the one of the most important thing is that ratio of HCO3 minus to H2CO3 at pH 7.4 is your 20 under normal circumstances. This can be any day asked in your competitive exams, that what is the ratio of HCO3 minus to H2CO3. So you should always remember this value. Now, since we were done with a bicarbonate buffer system and we talked about Henderson-Hasselbalch equation, we proved this bicarbonate buffer system through Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. And we also talked about alkali reserve. So we'll start with today's topic, which is phosphate buffer system. Now, phosphate buffers are what? They are mainly an intracellular buffer, and its concentration in plasma is very low. So the pKa value, which is 6.8. So if we again apply this, if when we are studying phosphate buffer or bicarbonate, we should always take your pen and notebook and do the calculation. Here, because here you have to prove everything with your calculation part. Here also we'll apply the values to Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. So what was the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation? It was pH is equal to pKa plus log of salt upon mayo acid. So pH is your 7.4 and pKa value is your 6.8. If we apply these values, we'll get 0.6, which will be equal to your log of salt upon acid, right? Now, as we got the log of salt upon acid as 0.6, now if we get if you know how to read log and anti-log tables, so you can also now you can calculate anti-log of this log value. So anti-log of 0.6 is 4, so hence the ratio is your 4. So it is found to be, which is will found to be true under your physiological conditions. So the phosphate buffer system is found to be very effective at a wide range of pH because it has more than one ionizable group, and the pKa values are different for your both. Now HCO3 H3PO4 and the pKa value 1.96, it will give H plus plus H2PO4 minus. Now this H2PO4 minus under pKa value of 6.8, it will give H plus plus HPO4 minus. Now HPO4 minus upon the pKa value of 12.4, it will give H plus plus PO4 minus. Now under different pH values, when this H3PO4 breaks down, it gives different components, right? So means At same pH, the H3PO4 won't break out. This phosphate buffer is not acting under same pH. It is acting under different pH ranges. So H3PO4 is getting broken down into H plus and H2PO4 minus under pK value of 1.93, 1.96, and H2PO4, it is getting broken down under the pKa value of 6.8 into H plus and HPO4 minus. And again, this HPO4 minus that we are getting, it will be broken down under the pKa value of 12.4. So ultimate what we are getting is your PO4 minus. So in our body, Na2HPO4 by NaH2PO4 is an effective buffer system because its pK value is nearest to your physiological pH. So now, as we have talked about phosphate buffer, it is always important to know phosphate buffered saline. So what is this phosphate buffered saline? Phosphate buffered saline, or we can say PBS. Now this PBS solution, it is commonly used in your researches and all. So PBS is a buffer solution which is commonly used in your biological research. So it is a water-based salt solution which is consisting of disodium hydrogen phosphate and sodium chloride, and in some formulations potassium chloride and potassium dihydrogen phosphate. So the buffer helps to maintain a constant pH, and the osmolarity and an ion concentration of solution matches those of their human body, so which is isotonic. Now, what are the applications of this PBS, which is phosphate buffered saline? So PBS has many uses because it is isotonic and non-toxic to most of the cells. So these uses include substances, dilution, and cell containing container rinsing. So PBS with PDTA is also used to disengage attached and clumped cells, and divalent metals such as zinc and Hauer cannot be added, as with will result in precipitation. And for these types of application, goods buffer are recommended. So PBS has been shown to be an acceptable alternative to viral transport medium regarding transport and storage of RNA viruses such as your SARS-CoV, right? SARS-CoV you would have been knowing because it's COVID time. So now how to prepare PBS, which is one of the most important. If you're a molecular biology research scientist, you need to know how to prepare PBS. So there are various concentrations and various components which you need to mix, and in order to prepare PBS. So there are many different ways to prepare PBS solution, which has different composition than that of the other standard PBS solution, right? So some formulations, they do not contain potassium, some do not contain magnesium, while others ones they contain calcium, or they may also contain magnesium. So depending upon whether or not buffer is used on live or fixed tissue, the latter does not require KCl or magnesium chloride, right? So the most common composition that we say for PBS is the salts which are added are NaCl, KCl, Na2HPO4, and KH2PO4. So the concentrations are different in millimoles and grams per liter, which I won't be discussing, and it's not necessary for you. So the pH of this PBS is basically 7.4. So you need to set the pH for while preparing the PBS. So when making buffer solutions, it is good practice to always measure the pH directly using your pH meter. You would have would have seen the pH meter, and if you have not, you should always Google it and check what is a pH meter. It is basically a rod-like structure which you have to dip it in your any solution, and this pH meter it has a certain solutions which allows your pH meter to read the pH. So pH meter is basically dipped in that solution, and it within few minutes it will read the pH and it will be displayed on your pH meter. So if necessary, this pH can be adjusted using hydrochloric acid. So if you need to lower down the pH, means you need to get it to the acidic side, right? So if you whatever the pH is, and if you in order to maintain, if you need to bring it to the acidic side, you can add HCl. And if by any chance you need to increase the pH, so you'll add some base, which is your sodium hydroxide. So if you want to bring your pH towards your basic side, you'll add sodium hydroxide. So PBS can also be prepared by using commercially made PBS buffer tablets or pouches. So you can always get PBS buffer tablets in markets. You can also prepare it by that. Now, if used in cell culturing, the solution can be dispensed into aliquots and sterilized by autoclaving and or filtration, and sterilization may not be necessary depending on its use. So PBS can be stored at room temperature, or it can be also stored in refrigerator. So the concentration of stock solutions may be precipitated, and when cooled, and should be kept at room temperature until precipitate has completely dissolved before the use. So this was about phosphate buffer saline, which was your PBS. So now let's come back to phosphate buffers. So phosphoric acid is a diprotic acid which undergoes a stripwise dissociation. So H3PO4 under K1 dissociation constant, it will give H plus H2PO4. And if you write it as dissociation constant under dissociation constant formula, this K1 will give your what was the formula, that Ka value is equal to your dissociated constants upon may or undissociated constants, right? So your dissociated constants are H plus H2PO4 minus, upon my undissociated constant here is H3PO4. Now the next one is H2PO4 minus, upon which we have a dissociation constant value of K2, and it will give H plus HPO4 2 minus. And now this HPO4 2 minus under dissociation constant K3 under equilibrium, all three equations are under equilibrium, means they are reversible basically. So they will give H plus PO4 3 minus. Now this K3 will give H plus into PO4 3 minus upon may HPO4 2 minus, right? So here the K1 value is your 6.5 into 10 to the power minus 3. K2 is your 6.2 into 10 to the power minus 8, and K3 is your 3.6 into 10 to the power minus 13. So each of these equilibrium equations, they can be expressed mathematically in several different ways. And taking the equation for K2 as an example, each of the following is equivalent. So K2 is actually when which I told you about, that it's H plus, concentration of H plus, and then concentration of HPO4 2 minus depending divided by the concentration of H2PO4 minus, and H plus it's K2 into H2PO4 minus concentration upon me HPO4 2 minus concentration, and we get basically H plus upon me K2 and H2PO4 minus upon me HPO4 2 minus, which can be converted to pH pK2 plus log of HPO4 2 minus upon me H2PO4, or HPO4 2 minus concentration upon my H2PO4 minus concentration. So always when you're studying buffers, and when we are talking about formulas and your concentrations, you should always write it down on your notebook and not do it theoretically or verbally. because like that way you won't be able to understand what uh, I'm basically talking about. So like here we end, this is how much you need to know about phosphate buffers. So in next lectures we'll be talking about uh, our protein buffers. So until then, do study your Henderson-Hasselbalch equation, most importantly, and your phosphate buffers, which are important for your protein buffer lectures. So I'll end it here. This session I'll end it here, and we'll meet in next session. Until then, if you have any doubts or anything, you can surely contact me. And thank you and take care.